Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Ivy and I have a small little grocery haul for you today. And I am also participating in the Three Rivers Challenge, which is the Three Rivers Homesteads Freezer and Pantry Challenge for the month of January at least, trying to stretch it into February. My goal each week is to spend $35 at the store to replenish what we need. The ultimate goal is using up what I can out of my pantry and freezer. For me, it's using up a surplus of just random little things in my freezer for the most part. A lot of the people that are doing the challenge have an actual homestead. They have their own gardens and they can. I don't do any of that kind of stuff, but we do hunt. So we have a freezer full of meat. So my goal is to go through some of the older meats that we have from previous seasons and, excuse me, and get through some of those and just be more creative with the items that we have. I just remembered I was going to show you my list of my meals. I'll get to that later. How about we do that? We will get into the grocery haul here in just a second. I will say I knew I was going to go over this week because we ran out of a lot of household items as well. And also we got snowed in for several days. So we had a big snowstorm come in and it's now Wednesday. And this is the first time I've left my house since Friday. So being snowed in for several days has given us the opportunity to eat through even more things than I had already planned on because we were home for all of our meals for the day instead of being gone to school and work. My husband works from home anyhow, but the three other of us, our two kids and myself, were home all day, every day. So we just ran out of a few extra things this week that I did not intend to run out of so soon. And of course, it is how it always is that you run out of all the household items at the exact same time. Now, I also have an extra confession to make. My daughter did go to the store for me on Saturday and picked up dog food and toilet paper and 18 eggs. I knew I wanted to make sure we had eggs before the snow came in. So eggs is pretty much all that's missing here. Now, long story long, as I usually do. Sorry, I keep getting interrupted. So if it's got some weird clips, sorry. Anyhow, so I still did pretty good this week is the whole point of what I'm getting at. With the groceries that I picked up, did I say my budget's $35? My main reason for $35 is that is the Walmart online grocery pickup order threshold. And I normally do online grocery order pickup. I could not this week. The entire area was snowed in as well. And so all of the pickups were taken until late tomorrow. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in the store, which that's always scary because I always spend more than I intend to. But y'all, I did so good. I'm really, really proud of myself. I did $37.90 was the grocery portion. Now I'm kind of cheating this week because I do have household items and non-grocery items, but I'm kind of not including those in the challenge anyhow, because I'm not trying to go through a surplus of things in the rest of my house, if that makes sense. So my grocery portion, I'm trying to stick to $35. I don't know if I really said that before, and I don't really know if I intended that before, but it's come to my realization that's how it needs to be. You know what I'm saying? So $35 for groceries, like food items only. And then if I have to get the household items, those won't be included. Hopefully I can keep it low regardless. Okay, so my grocery portion was $37.90. Like I said, my daughter picked up eggs for me on Saturday, and I got one item that was not on my list today. So I think because the eggs would have been cheaper, I think, or very close to the same price, I would have been like right there, $37.90. I was so proud of that, y'all. I'm not even joking. Okay, so long story long, as I usually do, this intro has gone on far longer than I wanted it to. Let's get into the groceries, see what I picked up and needed this week and why I needed it. And I'll show you the non-grocery items that I picked up this week. My total was still only $79 with the non-food items and some splurge non-food items. And I try to only spend $75 a week anyways. So I'm really proud of myself. I really am. This challenge has been really inspiring to me to just really be conscious about the things I'm buying and what I need now versus stocking up for using in the future. So it's kind of altering my brain, and we'll talk more about that later on too. But I know some of you are just here for the grocery haul, so let's finally get into it and see what I picked up at the store this week. Okay, here it all is. So these items right here. Of course, we'll bar off that stuff. That's the non-food items. $37.90. So not too bad considering the milk alone. Because, oh, by the way, I went to Arkansas, so the milk was $5.50 instead of $4.95 or whatever it's been being. So I paid more for the milk down there than I would have back at home anyhow. So, anyway, and I got some dairy items. So, you know what I'm saying? I did pretty good. The vegetables right there are the only item I did not have on my list. Okay, let's dive in item by item. 2 gallons of whole Highland milk. Like I said, they were more expensive down in Arkansas, but I thought about getting the Great Value because it honestly wasn't as bad this time. Even Aiden said so, but I know Scotty prefers it, so I just went with the Highland. Regardless of the price difference, we're going to be just fine. I need a loaf of bread. Scotty still has an oat nut bread, so we're doing fine on that. I thought about baking bread because I have plenty of stuff to bake, but I've never really made sandwich bread, so I just went with picking up a loaf of bread, which is still like $1 or something. Aiden put these cheeses on the list last week, but if you recall, he made a choice. He would rather have had the chips, so I picked them up this week, the sliced Colby Jack and the sliced pepper jack cheese. Sorry, I got yet another interruption. Okay, so I also needed a block of cheddar cheese. I was almost going to get the 2-pound, which is what I normally get, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to save the money and get the smaller one. This was all in my head before I got to the store. And then I was finally like, no, just get the big one. You go through it fast enough, blah, blah, blah. Well, I got there and the store made the choice for me because they only had the 1-pound blocks. So that saved me some money as well. So I was glad actually that, like I said, the store made the choice for me. Same with the butter. I was going to get our big normal, like 45 ounce or whatever. But they did not have them. Like I said, we were just coming off of a 3-day snow in, and so the whole area went grocery shopping. So again, the store made the choice for me on that, which saved me some money, which is fine. I'll just get the bigger one when I have more room in my budget, and we'll be just fine. And then Riley requested cottage cheese, which this is a non-necessity. It's not for any of my recipes or anything, but she wanted it. And like I've said before, my kids did not sign up for this challenge, and this is the only thing she asked for this week. Aiden asked for cheese, so I went ahead and got the cottage cheese for Riley, and we'll all enjoy it as a snack and a side too. Extra wide, no, they didn't have the extra wide, just the wide egg noodles. I have some, but I have several meals I'm going to make with them, and this has been on my list that I'm kind of like, oh, I'll get it later. And I went ahead and picked it up this week because you'll see in a second, my list is dwindling and now it's time to start making those I'll do it later meals. Same with this sausage. I needed it for a crock pot meal that's on my list. So I wanted to pick one of those up. I used all of my rice up this week and I still have other meals I'm wanting to do with rice. And rice is a nice and affordable side dish, and this will make quite a lot. I ran out of chili powder with several meals that I've made this past week, so I'll replenish that. And I also ran out of canned beans, and I need those for meals as well. And then this vegetable medley is the only thing that I did not have on my list that I picked up food-wise because we're just running low on fresh vegetables. I do have some lettuce still, and I thought it would be nice to have a nice salad, so I'm glad to have that back in my refrigerator. Just some nice fresh veggies. And that's the one thing I got that kind of put me over budget, but I'm not upset about it. And then the non-food items, we needed some dishwasher pods. So I picked up this pack of Cascade Platinum Plus dishwasher pods. And then hand soap. This is the best deal on hand soap. It's like $1.97 and it smells good. It works good. It feels good. And it's just the best bargain. So I got a milk and honey, a citrus lemon for the kitchen, and then another bamboo jasmine. So these other two will go in our 2 bathrooms. And thank goodness, because we're almost out of all of our hand soaps. And then I needed deodorant, so I picked up my Old Faithful, the Secret Cool Water Lily. And then these are splurgy impulse buys, but they're a really good deal. So I use these when I do photography. When I take someone's photos, I put them on a flash drive and then see how it's got like a little keychain thing there. I have like little picture keychains, and so I put a picture on the keychain, and then on the back of the picture I write like, Flippo family pictures 2024, something like that. So like their name and date and a picture, so that when they have this and they throw it in a drawer and in 10 years they find it, they're like, oh, that's what's on there. So anyway, it's a nice way to give them the gift that, or not the gift, but like to give them their pictures that kind of also becomes a gift. So anyway, normally they're $4.88 and I got them for $3.50. So it saved me, $1 plus per, and I use them all the time. So anyway, it was kind of a splurge, but I saved on things I would buy later in the future anyway. They also had like 64 gig for only $4.50, and I thought about grabbing them, but that's even too big for the amount of pictures I give. So it works out perfectly. And then they had this HDMI cable for $3.50, which is normally almost $7. So that was half price. And we always need an HDMI cable for something, it seems like. So I didn't think it was a bad idea to pick this up to have as extra and just keep on hand for when we end up needing it inevitably. Okay, that is it for the groceries this week. Okay, I decided to sit down so I can prop my arm up because my arm is getting very tired. But now we move on to what we ate this past week. So I'm going to show you the meal list that I made before we started this challenge and where I'm at on that. And then I'll go into the video that I filmed as I was making each of those meals with the voiceover like I did last week. I think that worked out pretty well. But I don't know. I'm just really excited about this challenge. I was already planning on talking about this in this video, and then I watched, oh no, what is her channel's name? She's new. I just started following her. I think it's Garden Rose, but like RWESSE. I don't know. I'm so sorry. I'll put her channel name right here, but she's newer to YouTube, but she's really sweet, and I really enjoy her challenge. Really enjoy her channel. She is doing the challenge as well. And so she talked about this in her video today. So it was kind of nice to hear that she was having the same thoughts. And so for me, like she was saying, what does this challenge mean for the future? When it gets to March and the challenge over, am I just going to have an enormous grocery bill eating up all the savings that I saved, the last 2 months? And I don't think that for me. I have had those same thoughts. Like, why am I eating all this stuff up when I'm just going to use it, replenish it? But also I'm not. Like, that's the whole point of planning out all of these meals for the things that I wanted to make sure and get out of my freezer. But what it has switched in my brain, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, was I don't need to buy the extra value pack size of something when we're not going to consume it all within that time frame. Like, what I'll do is like, buy the bigger pack because it's the better deal at the time, and then we'll use a portion of it, and then I'll put it in the freezer or whatever, and then it doesn't get touched for ever and ever. And so it's making me think harder about what we will consume in a certain time frame. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a stockpile or having enough or plenty, because again, the state of the world, you never know what's going to happen. And we just came off a 3-day snowstorm. So, or like it snowed for 1 day, but we were stuck inside for 3. And so it's like, what would we have done had I not already had everything prepared? We would have panicked and went to the store and bought all these things and whatever, And so just being mindful about what I have on hand, and also like, if you've been around a minute, I don't make a meal plan like Monday I'm going to cook this, Tuesday I'm going to cook this. I always will just put like 5 or 6 options up on our board to choose. But I might go further out. And the family has very much enjoyed having this as an option. And so maybe monthly going through my pantry and freezer and just seeing what I can make with what I have on hand. Then I'm not like each week thinking of what I'm going to cook or whatever. So I don't know. It's already kind of tweaking my brain. Granted, we're now into our second week. Well, we just finished our second week. Yeah, this is the end of the second week of this. And it's going good, and I really enjoy it. And it's kind of, again, making me rethink how I do my groceries and my meal plan and feeding my family and stuff. So there's that. Long story long, here's what I cooked. Not necessarily this week, but here's what I've made off of the list and what I still have to do. Okay, so as you can see, here's my list. If you recall, I think I added a couple things down here at the bottom as I made them. So I can still do tuna casserole and meatloaf. We've done taco salad. We could still do Frito pie and cheese enchiladas, although it does take a lot of cheese and I don't have a ton of cheese. So that one might get pushed way, way back. I still have that frozen chili in the freezer, which, spoiler for this video, I did make chili this week. I'm already thinking though, I'm going to take that chili out and I'm actually going to use this can of just plain pinto beans that I bought and make some frozen burritos because I have a ton of tortillas. So that'll be in next week's video. So we'll get to that. Breakfast sandwiches, we had those. Potato soup, Mississippi. We have not had Mississippi roast. I marked it off instead of potato soup that day. So that's something I need to make sure and make. Sweet and sour chicken and fried rice. We have had baked chicken and brown rice. We're all excited to have that. I still haven't done banana bread. We did steak, mushroom, and gravy. I still can do turkey and rice casserole. I did do Mississippi chicken, and it was so good. Hamburger stroganoff, but I needed those egg noodles for that. We did tomato soup and grilled cheese. The 15-bean soup, I needed the sausage. Lima beans and ham, I ended up using the ham and the potato soup. But I did find some frozen bacon in the freezer, so I might just throw that in with the lima beans. I still have chicken chili, and then we made tacos last night. We've done oatmeal oven toast and chili and cornbread. So my list is dwindling, but there's still a lot that I can make, and we have been eating really good, and it's, again, really fun. So you would have seen about half of those in last week's video, and you're fixing to see the other half right about now. I think it is super fun that the first thing I am making this weekend are candied almonds. I'm so excited. Everything I had on hand. I'm going to show you the recipe. You can stop and screenshot it if you want. But we got these almonds during Christmas time, and they weren't the best almonds I've ever had, to be perfectly honest. And so I figured, why not candy them? I have candied nuts before, but pecans, not almonds. And so I thought this will be just fine. So I put them in the crock pot. Then I realized I had actually like 5.5 cups instead of 3. And so I decided to double the recipe and put everything in there, got it all mixed up, started adding my sugars. And this was about the time I realized my crock pot was not big enough for that. So I transferred it over to my bigger crock pot, and that worked out perfectly. Until the crock pot got unplugged somehow. So they cooked all day long and extra all day long because the crock pot was unhooked, but you have to stir it like every 20 to 30 minutes. And so I was stirring these all day long, and they actually turned out really, really good. I think this was after a couple of hours of them going. I think the recipe says 2 to 3 hours, but these literally took like 6 hours. So maybe double the quantity, ended up being double the cook time. I don't know. Anyhow, this was them actually the next day, because after they cooked, I let them sit overnight so that they could cool and all of that sugar harden. And this is how many it made. That was 5.5 cups of almonds, and ended up making 2 quart bags and 7 snack size bags. And they weren't the best thing ever, but they were pretty good. We enjoyed them. Okay, this is Saturday night, and I decided to make Mississippi chicken. This is the first time I've ever made Mississippi chicken. I make Mississippi roast all the time, but I wanted to use up those chicken breasts and legs, and that's the first time I had ever used chicken breasts chicken in the Mississippi recipe, but it was so good. So all it is a pack of au jus, a pack of ranch seasoning, a stick of butter, and the recipe calls for 5 pepperoncinis, but I use like 10 plus a splash of the juice. And this ended up being so good. I was really kind of nervous about it being chicken, but it turned out amazing. We all enjoyed it very much. The one thing I will say is it was greasier than the roast, but I think it's because I used the dark meat chicken, and there was less meat than when I do a roast. And so it didn't soak up all of that butter that I use whenever I cook it, but it was so delicious. I ended up serving it with some brown rice, and you'll have to excuse my plate being dirty because I forgot to take a video before I ate, and this was seconds. It was so good. I just had to have seconds. So definitely recommend the Mississippi chicken. Okay, this is actually lunch for my Aiden and myself. So I just used those 2 egg yolks and added 2 extra eggs, which is the egg yolks left over from making the candied almonds. Anyhow, so we were hungry. We were home alone. I don't know where Riley and Scotty were, but it was just the 2 of us. So I decided to make some fried egg sandwiches. So I just used those eggs, and Aiden loved them. He thought they were so great. And I can't remember if I've ever made him a fried egg sandwich, which what kind of mother am I? I don't even know. But he really enjoyed them. It was just those eggs fried up with a little bit of butter, put on toast with a little bit of ketchup, and he thought they were great. So yay, glad to finally share something that I love with my son. On to Sunday, the next meal, I started getting some rice prepped earlier in the day. I needed rice for 2 parts of this meal, so I needed that part to go into the sweet and sour chicken. And then I put the rest of it on this cookie sheet to start getting cooled off and kind of dried out to make fried rice with. And now this is later in the evening, getting everything ready for the fried rice. So, the fried rice and sweet and sour chicken. And then I use celery, 1 onion. Normally I would use green onion or bell pepper, but this is what I have on hand. And then a chicken breast, and it's a very big one, or I would use 2. That is some crushed pineapple, ketchup. I like to use spicy ketchup, so then it's kind of sweet, sour, and spicy. And then lemon juice and brown sugar. All of those components go in to make the sauce. So I was having to clean up the rice because it made quite a mess. If you could tell from the edge of the pot there, it kept boiling over. I could not get it to stop boiling over. So prepping my mise en place here, getting my stuff chopped up, my celery and onions. So the first thing I do is get this all chopped up and then saute the celery and onions in the skillet there with a little bit of olive oil, get it going nice and steady until they turn a little bit translucent. While those are getting cooked up, sauteing, I'm cubing up my chicken, which was still slightly frozen, which ended up being actually perfect because it cubed up so nicely. And I cook it low and slow anyhow, so it being slightly frozen didn't affect it whatsoever. But I'm just pouring that into my big measuring cup, using the same skillet to cook my chicken in, but that's just some flour, garlic powder, salt and pepper. Just shaking it up in there, getting it nice and breaded, letting my grease get hot there while I'm putting things away. Then just putting the chicken into the skillet, letting it get nice and brown. I didn't realize how much oil I lost whenever I took my vegetables out, so I was adding some more there. While the chicken's cooking, I'm making my sauce. I can't remember how much of everything there. I think it's a 1/2 cup of ketchup, 1/4 cup of lemon juice, 1/4 cup, maybe a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and then a 1/2 can of crushed pineapple, which that was left over from Christmas. And then I messed up here. So I started pouring everything together, and I didn't realize how horrible of a ratio this was. So I put my chicken in with my rice and started frying my rice over there. And then I realized, oh no, I don't have enough rice for my sweet and sour chicken. As I started stirring the sauce in, I'm like, too much sauce, too much sauce. So I put extra rice out of the fried rice into the sweet and sour chicken. It still was not enough rice. So I had to make more rice. You see, I'm getting my pan ready there. And it was nearly a disaster, but it absolutely turned out so perfect. That is the best fried rice I have ever made. The sweet and sour chicken was still a little bit sauce heavy, but it was really good. And it was almost a disaster that ended up not being too much of a disaster. And we had an awesome dinner that night. I could have eaten twice as much fried rice as we had, but I'll be making more very soon. And it was so delicious. Monday, new night, new meal. We're having chili tonight. And I know I had chili in the freezer, but I wanted to make chili. Scotty was wanting chili. So I'm using up a bunch of things that I had on hand and just making it all in one pot. So that is 2.5 pounds of ground deer meat. And so I'm just browning that up with some salt, pepper, chili powder, garlic powder, cumin, ground cumin, and just getting that all ready into my pot. Then I'm adding in a can of chili ready tomatoes, a can of chili beans, a can of sauce, and then, tomato sauce, and then those bags that I added, and the bag and the container that I added were leftover from actually last summer. So they've been in my freezer for 18 months, but they were not freezer burn and they were just fine. So peppers and onions from a wedding left over, and I added some pico de gallo, which actually was really good. I probably could have saved my thing of canned tomatoes because the pico de gallo ended up adding a lot of tomato flavor, but it ended up being great. This is a different camera angle, kind of weird. I don't love it. Sorry. I was just trying something new here. But I'm making some cornbread, which ended up being way too much. I decided to make a double batch because it seems like there's never enough cornbread, and this time I had way too much cornbread, but it ended up being fine, and we enjoyed it nonetheless. I did add a little bit of honey to the last little batch of it, and they didn't taste very much different, but they were good also. We enjoyed them. And all in all, chili, cornbread, everything turned out really, really good. All right, new day, new meal. We have tacos tonight, and this was different. I don't know. So I used a pound of ground deer. I had to mix up my cheeses. I ended up not using the lettuce at all, and I ended up frying up some tortilla shells. But you see here in this first clip, I actually am able to break my deer meat apart. And I love that about these flat packs is I'm able to just, whenever it's still frozen, I can just crack it on the edge of the counter, and it fits into my skillet once it's broken in half. I don't always fry my own tortilla shells, but we love it as a family. I love corn tortillas, but they always fall apart, you know. So I like having them on hand to eat every once in a while, but most of the time, most that I do with them is fry them, and the family loves it. Aiden was so excited about having fried shells. So it just takes a couple of seconds for each one, and everyone just loved it. We had a really nice taco night. Tacos are always a must in our household. We love tacos, taco salad, anything to that effect. But yeah, I just decided not to do the lettuce. We just had cheese and sour cream, jalapenos, and that was it, I think. Nice, simple taco night, and everyone was very pleased, and they were very good tacos. All right, I hope you enjoyed seeing how our pantry challenge went this week, all the items that we were able to use up. I'm, again, very excited about how this is going and the change that is happening in my brain. I'm excited to get through the rest of these meals and continue to come up with a few extras. I think last week I came up with one extra. This week I did one extra. Actually, next week I'm going to do one extra with those burritos that's not on this list. So it's a great way that I'm using up so many of those items that were in my freezer that thankfully don't have to go to waste. So thank you so much for coming along with me this week. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. If you're doing the Three Rivers Challenge and you're watching my channel, I would love to go check out your channel if you have a channel. Or if you don't have a channel and you're doing the challenge, I would love to know how the challenge is working out for you. And of course, if you have not already, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, join my YouTube family, check out the rest of this challenge and all the other stuff we have going on here. I love when I get new subscribers. It's really exciting, and I would love for that subscriber to be you. So click that subscribe button, turn on the notifications so you don't miss any of my future content. Thanks for coming along with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. I love you so much. Bye.